What's up, guys? Trilogy here. Today we're going to be doing episode 3 of Trilogy Talk. If you're really interested in stuff like movies, gaming, anime, tech, all kinds of stuff like that, music, I do compilations videos of those type of topics every week, and we title those Trilogy Talk. If you're interested in any topics that you see today, I have everything time stamped basically in the description, so you can just skip ahead. And if you find something that interests you and you find it educational, entertaining, go ahead and like it, subscribe if you want to see more content like this. I have other stuff on my channel with curated playlists. I definitely recommend you check that out. And with that said, we're going to be jumping into episode 3 of Trilogy Talk. So the first thing we're going to be talking about is movies. We're going to be talking about the best movies of 2021. And I'm going to have a more specific video down the road probably where I'm going to break it all down. Or I might just go deep into it right now. So this is going to be just a top 10 list. And this is just going to be movies in my opinion. So as far as that goes, we're going to start at number 10. Now let's do number 10. Number 10 is going to be Candyman. And I hear a lot of people say this isn't really as good as the reboot. And I remember seeing glimpses of the reboot when I was, not the original Candyman, when I was younger. And I remember it being very creepy as a kid. But I never sat down and watched all of it. And I haven't seen any of the Candyman movie. That said, I really enjoyed this movie, regardless of whether they say the old one was better. I like the setting. I did not like the arm as it slowly decayed. That was creepy. And at the end, where he transformed into the original Candyman, that ending was just like a plot twist. I did not expect any of that stuff to be going on. Like, this movie is definitely something you should check out. We don't get a lot of Black-centric movies where most of the cast is Black, and I really like that. And as far as that goes, I think the plot could have been better, and that's probably why it just pulled in at number 10 and it didn't go any higher as far as that goes. Up next, we're going to be doing number 9. Number 9 is going to be Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings. For a Marvel movie, I say for a Marvel movie, a lot of people hate on the Marvel movies. I quite enjoy them, so I should take that out. A lot of people will say for a Marvel movie. No, not for a Marvel movie. This movie is pretty great. I think overall the plot really balances its seriousness and humor. Sometimes the MCU movies can be a little too humorous, like characters will come out of character just to make a joke in a situation that a joke really shouldn't be made in, you know? But I feel like Shang-Chi really balances it. Simu Lee, I believe his name is, the main character. This is really good. He really balances this role really good. We also have Awkwafina for our comedy character, basically. She's really good in there also, and I really liked it. I did like how she was important with that final arrow at the end, so she wasn't just the comedy character. She actually did something that was beneficial. Almost this whole movie, I think, was really good, except for the third act. I think the final fight with the dimension-destroying creature was handled a little too easily. I mean, the stakes were really high as far as this monster destroyed a whole dimension, a whole galaxy, a whole planet, and they defeated it with the rings. And in my head, back then, when the other civilization was destroyed, they had those rings. I think it would have been better if they had the rings, but they knew that if they used the rings to destroy the creature, the rings would be destroyed. And I feel like if he had used the rings to destroy the creature, the rings would have been destroyed. He had no attachment to them. He had just got them from his dad. So you know what? I feel like that would have made it kind of even out. The rings would be destroyed, but the dimension creature would also be destroyed. Whereas he destroyed the creature, and honestly, the fight was, I feel like besides it killing his dad, the stakes really weren't that high for that movie. The third act was kind of weak, and that was probably the weakest part of the movie. But overall, everything else was really good on Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings. Up next, we're going to have Judas and the Black Messiah. This movie is depressing as hell, honestly. That's all I'm going to say. It's based on a true story, and it's about the CIA. William O'Neill, and he's implanted in the Black Panthers to spy on Fred Hampton. And this is based on a true story. Fred Hampton is played by Daniel Kaluuya, which a lot of people didn't like that casting because Daniel Kaluuya is like 40 years old and Fred Hampton at the time was like 20. But still, and I feel like that isn't conveyed properly because Daniel Kaluuya is so old. And it's really important how young Fred Hampton was in the spotlight at the time. And then we also had Lakeith Stanfield. And I don't know how I forgot my boy Lakeith. Lakeith has been everywhere since Atlanta. He's been doing his thing, whether it's in The Harder They Fall, whether it's in that movie with the centaurs. Yeah, Lakeith has been out there. He's been doing a lot of stuff. But yeah, we have that going on. And I just think this movie is depressing as hell. I probably would not want to watch this movie ever again. But if I had kids, I would make them watch this, you know, like along with Roots and all those other cultural movies that you just have to watch to educate your kids. And even if you're not black, I feel like you should definitely check this out because it is based on a true story. And as a reminder of how corrupt our government is and how anti-black they've been throughout history. I mean, this movie takes place in like the 80s, and a lot of people will be like, that was such a long time ago. But it really wasn't. It's 2021, about to be 2022. It was only 40 years ago. A lot of people who are alive now were alive then. And a lot of people who were in positions of power back then are still in positions of power. So we should never forget our history, and we should try to learn from them. And even though, obviously, me and you don't really have too much power to change it, we should never forget the transgressions of the past, and always keep in mind that those things, who's to stop those from happening again, right? Okay, up next, we're going to have The Last Duel. This is actually probably another depressing movie. Yeah, it's not for kids. It's rated R, and this is directed by, dang, I always forget names on these videos. He did Alien, Ripley Scott, right? Yeah, it has a lot of people. Ben Affleck, it has Adam Driver, it has even a lot of, and this movie really did flop. And yeah, this movie flopped, honestly. A lot of people didn't go to see it, but I really liked it. Basically, it's a medieval movie. We have three main characters. We have Adam Driver's character. Let me look at the cast members right now. It's really hard to remember so many actors. I'm going to get better at this within time. But let's see. The main character, Matt Damon. How did I forget about Matt Damon? Main character is Matt Damon, and his hair is horrible in this movie. Look at this picture of Matt Damon in this movie. Yeah, it's ridiculous. Matt Damon is the main character, and then we have Jodie Comer. She is Margaret. That's Matt Damon's wife, and then we have Adam Driver's character. So basically, the first act is told from Matt Damon's perspective. The second act is told from Adam Driver's perspective, and then the third act is showed from Jodie's perspective, and then basically we have the final bout. Basically, it's hard to explain it. Matt Damon's wife was raped by Adam Driver's character, and they basically just have like a duel. It's the last duel in front of God, basically, and it's a trial by combat, which is the biggest cop-out in history. I always like the concept of a trial by combat, but it's just so biased because the stronger person is always going to win. And then let someone allow someone to represent them. Like, I have a champion. He's going to fight for me, and he's been fighting for 30 years. So it's just like, trial by combat is always crazy. But when this trial by combat, they swear to God, and God is supposed to pick the honest character. And I don't want to spoil how the duel ends, although I've been dropping spoilers for all these other movies. Sorry about that. But yeah, so that's how it works. And there is rape in this, and that's like, as far as movies go, there's like two things that I really do not like, and that's rape, and then that's like excessive gore and violence. Like, I can do a little bit of gore, I can do a little bit of violence, but those two things are really deal breakers for me. And I was in the movie theater on a date when I was watching this movie, and it was just so awkward. And then, because we do it from different perspectives, we have to hear that scene like 3 times because it's told, the event happens from 3 different perspectives, and it's just, whew, I do not like it at all. But despite that, I think it's kind of necessary for the plot. Like, it wasn't excessive, it wasn't out of place. It made sense for the movie, so I'm not going to dock points for that. But it's just like one of those things like, ugh, I don't like this. I don't like this at all. And that's one reason why I never finished The Players Club. So as far as that goes, that's going to be our number 6 movie. Up next on number 5 is going to be Stowaways. This is going to be a Netflix movie. I feel like a lot of people didn't watch this one either. It has Anna Kendrick, and then it has a bunch of other amazing actors and stuff like that. It has the mom from Hereditary. She's in there. She's the captain. It's really good. As far as that goes, we're on a mission to Mars. We have 4 people on the ship, I believe. It's actually, this came out at the beginning of the year, so I could be off with the numbers. There's 4 people on the ship, and then basically an engineer got stuck in one of the ducts or whatever, and now there's 5 people on the ship, and we only have enough rations for 4 people to make it to Mars, which kind of makes no sense to me. Like, why would you not have backup rations? Like, I understand you're trying to get there as fast as possible, but like, I feel like you should have a backup plan, a plan B, additional resources, but I'm not an astronaut and I don't work at NASA. You see, I'm in this regular old house. So what do I know about space? But it just doesn't make sense. So basically, we just have to deal with those consequences as they try to make their rations make it. They try to make their equipment and stuff make it all the way to Mars, and they can't turn back around, and there's stuff going back on Earth, and they're just trying to balance all those different things. And I think this movie is really good. Hence me putting it in my number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 spot. Now we're on the top half. If I haven't said so before, I'm Trilogy fan. I definitely would recommend you subscribe if you're enjoying what you're hearing so far. If you want to support the channel, you can comment, like, subscribe, share. I also have a Patreon down below. I don't do sponsorships on my videos, so that would be the main way to support the channel, because otherwise I won't be able to put as much content out. And so I monetize, and I would definitely help you learn more stuff in this field of information and stuff like that. That was really awkward. I'm going to keep it in there. It seems authentic, which, I mean, it is. As far as that goes, we're going to go on to number 5. Number 5 on my list is going to be The Suicide Squad. Bad naming scheme, not to be confused with Suicide Squad. This one is going to be really good. It's directed by, who's the guy? He directed both of the Guardians of the Galaxy movies. I'm going to remember it. I'm not going to remember it. The Suicide Squad is really good. It has Idris Elba, and we have the girl who plays Harley Quinn. We have James Gunn. How could I forget his name? Margie Robbo, John Cena. This movie is really good. There's a lot of fun going on. This is really, I feel like DC is kind of turning their movies around. They might be able to save their tattered universe. You know, this isn't the only DC movie actually on this list. And this might be like the first time in a long time where I have 2 DC movies on a top movie list. They have not really done that in a long time. I don't know if it's my favorite DC movie. I think that's probably still, I like Shazam. Shazam was really good. Justice League was okay. I'm talking about the original cut. Man of Steel, I actually like Man of Steel. I know a lot of people don't like Man of Steel. Batman v Superman, no. Wonder Woman, the first Wonder Woman was really good. Did I say Shazam? Shazam was really good. Wonder Woman 2, no. But yeah, as far as that goes, the Suicide Squad, Suicide Squad, the first one, it was okay. It wasn't crazy. I could see why people wouldn't like it. But the Suicide Squad completely turns it around. They balance the humor, and they balance how wonky these characters are and this plot. And basically, it's just a journey to see how they become heroes in their own right. And I really like the Suicide Squad. If you haven't seen it yet, you should definitely check it out. I believe it's still on HBO Max. As far as where you can watch these movies, I don't think Candyman's on anything. Shang-Chi is on Disney+. Judas and the Black Messiah, that is on HBO Max. The Lost Duel, I don't think that's on anything. Stowaway is on Netflix. The Suicide Squad is on HBO Max. Up next with our top 4, our 4 is going to be a family movie. Yeah, I'm surprised it made it so high, but I really enjoyed this movie. The Mitchells versus the Machines is all around a fun time. The animation style is nice. The characters seem really developed. I think my favorite character is the youngest brother. He is hilarious. But all of the characters have their own cliches that they play into. But I think it works very, very, very well. It works very well. I do think the movie's a little preachy with the whole kids are obsessed with technology nowadays. Ugh, I hate that message because technology has always changed, and our definition for technology is only going to change the further through time we go into the future. Back in the day, you could say the kids were on their bicycles too much. That was the technology at the time. Back in the day, you could say kids like boats too much. Anything could be technology, and I just hate that message as far as we're on technology too much. Okay, not everyone is doing that. So I just don't like that message. But besides that, the movie was really good. We get to see the world get taken over by robots, which is cliche. We've all seen it before, but I really think they add a fun spin to it. There's some robots that aren't all bad, and I really like that also. And it's just a fun little adventure as these characters basically tried to take back the world after it's been taken over by robots. And it's really cool seeing the daughter and the dad kind of try to reconnect because they're not on the same page. The dad is a boomer or whatever, and the daughter is like a Gen Z type character who wants to go to art school. Awesome. We're finally here. Top 3 movies of the year. Let's go. You know I like the number 3. This is Trilogy, of course. So for number 3, we're going to be having Zack Snyder's Justice League. This movie is amazing. And I know it's 4 hours. Is a movie really amazing if it has to go for 4 hours? Well, let's ask the Lord of the Rings Fellowship of the Ring extended cut. I don't care about the length of a movie as long as it's fulfilling and it doesn't drag on and it's not fluff, it's not being stretched out, and the plot is all there. I don't mind a long movie. In fact, I'm glad to pay my $7 and get a long movie. I'm getting my money's worth, you know what I'm saying? But this movie, this movie took the Justice League and completely flipped it. And I'm not gonna lie, I know Zack Snyder added scenes to this movie. This movie was not going to be what it was if he even had released it before it got completely redone, all that stuff. I know that a lot of these things were acted, but this movie, for a comic book fan, I love this movie. We get to see my boy The Flash, who's my second favorite superhero and my favorite DC hero, put some work in. We get to see Iris rest more. We get to see all of the other characters fleshed out. You can see some of the plot points that were skimped over being revealed in this movie. And I love this movie for what it is. If you like DC movies, you should definitely check this out. If you haven't already, this movie came out at the beginning of the year. If you saw the last Justice League and you really didn't like it that much, this movie might change your mind. We actually got to see Darkseid in this movie. And I'm not a big Darkseid fan in there, but I recognize his presence, his ambience. When you see Darkseid in something, you know it's going to be serious, unless it's the Harley Quinn TV show. Yeah, that's a whole different genre, though. The dark side means business, and this movie was amazing. All of the characters, they're so much more human, even though they're like aliens and superpowered gods and stuff like that. We got a whole arc with Cyborg. It sucks that we're not going to get the Cyborg movie, and I'm not even like a Cyborg fan like that, but this movie was amazing, and you should definitely check it out if you haven't. I believe it's on HBO. Okay, next is going to be number 2, Junior. Junior is going to be Demon Slayer Mugen Train. Trust me, I know a lot of you guys aren't anime fans, but even if you're not, you should definitely check out this movie. Anime movie of the year, almost my favorite movie of the year, honestly. And I'm not even a Demon Slayer fan. I love Rengoku. The other characters are all right. They didn't really bring me into it. I tried to watch the first season of this show because this movie takes place after season 1 of the anime, and I just couldn't get into it. And despite the animation looking really good, the plot just did not grab me. It just wasn't interesting to me. But I wanted to see this movie with my friends, and I went to go see it, and I love it. I'll have to check out Demon Slayer season 2 once it catches up to everything as far as that goes. I think they're doing, as far as I heard, I think they're redoing the movie as the anime started the season. And I'm not really rewatching the movie. I already know how that ends. So once that goes, I might just pick up from where that happened and just basically extrapolate off of what happened in season 1. But the plot of this movie is really good. As far as that goes, the characters are really fleshed out. I really love this. And I keep saying that the characters are fleshed out, but that's something I really look at. The music was really good. The score, I mean, I loved Rengoku. He was just such an inspiring character, and I really like this movie. And we're going to be going on to number 1, but before we do, I just want to give a couple honorable mentions. These guys were really close to making the list, but they just fell short for one reason or another. So the first one we're going to talk about is Raya and the Last Dragon. Raya and the Last Dragon was an amazingly animated Disney movie, and it was really good. I really liked this. We also had Awkwafina in here again. She played Sifu the dragon, so she's really been doing her thing this year. As far as that goes, this movie is amazing. We follow Raya as she tries to unite the clans in this broken world after the desolation of this type of entity. Then they were saved by the dragons. Dragons are myths now. But she stumbles onto one last dragon, and together they team up to kind of basically restore the world as it once was. And this is definitely something that you should definitely watch. I really liked it. The ending kind of fumbled it a little bit. Once again, a lot of movies struggle with the third act and giving it a nice little bow-tucked movie ending. But as far as that goes, I don't think they left a lot of room for a sequel, which I'm not complaining about. I hate when movies leave open plot ends just so they can have a sequel, and then the sequel is not even that good. Make it natural, make it organic. Don't plan out 5 movies from the first movie, unless it's the sequel Star Wars movies. Definitely you should have had a plan. You should have definitely had a plan. And also, my other honorable mention is going to be Free Guy with Ryan Reynolds. Basically, it's like a GTF motif. It's a satire parody where an AI video game character has become sentient, and it's really good. This movie is hilarious. Once again, I think third act with the final confrontation was a little weak, but overall there were a lot of Easter eggs in this movie. And if you're like a nerd geek type character, this is like the ultimate culmination of that. And this movie was really fun, really enjoyable. I feel like a lot of people didn't watch it. But Ryan Reynolds plays Ryan Reynolds. You know, he always plays the same type of movies. This is probably his best movie of the year above Red Notice and the other stuff that he's done. I really liked Ryan Reynolds in this movie. And it's just a fun little movie. If you haven't seen it, you should definitely check it out. I believe this is on HBO Max. Raya, The Last Dragon is on Disney+. And with that said, let's get into number one. Our number one movie of the year, if you hadn't guessed it already. Superhero movie of the year, Spider-Man No Way Home. This movie is just amazing. I love this movie. If you're not a fan of the Tom Holland movies, this movie is the best Tom Holland movie. If not the best Spider-Man movie, period. And I like the Spider-Man movies. I like the Tobey Maguire movies. I like the Andrew Garfield movies. And it's after a fresh viewing. So, you know, I might be going off of adrenaline when I say this is the best Spider-Man movie. And I feel like a lot of people are going off of nostalgia when they say the other Spider-Man movies are better. But realistically, I won't really know. Maybe a year from now, I'll be able to definitively say if this is the best Spider-Man movie. I might just be overhyped over everything that happened in the movie right now. But this is the culmination of 20 years of Spider-Man all in one movie, and it's balanced perfectly. I was worried that it would be a little too clunky, but not too worried, because you know the MCU has stuff like Endgame and Infinity War where there's a bunch of heroes, and even on a much smaller level, Civil War. And this movie really does balance it perfectly, and it's dark. It's dark as hell compared to the other Spider-Man movies by Tom Holland. This movie is dark, and I love it for that. It really is just an amazing movie, and it's movie of the year for me. And it's not even, I might just be going off of hype when I say it's not even close. I loved this movie. I loved the ending. I loved how it's set up, and I really don't have any complaints on how they executed it. There would have been like a couple things I would have liked to see, but they had so limited time. This was already 2.5 hours. We had a lot of villains to take down. We had a lot of plot points to tie up and develop Tom Holland as a character. And ironically, Tom Holland became Spider-Man 3 movies ago, but this is him really becoming Spider-Man as we know it. And Spider-Man No Way Home is my movie of the year. If you guys enjoyed what you saw, definitely go ahead and click the like bell and subscribe. You see it right there.